What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 16, Marvin Vettori versus Jack Hermansson. And yeah, really looking forward to this card. I actually really do like the main event. The co-main event's solid. I think the card as a whole is solid. A little bit of name value as well. The card last week was a dumpster fire to say the least there, and it was a really tough card, and I cannot believe what happened last week. I mean, went 4-1 on bets, was able to get Sumadarji to win inside the distance. I mean, the dude, hit Malcolm Gordon once, and what happened? The Malcolm Gordon just fell down. It was like the most delayed reaction I've seen in some time. Like, he hit him, and then a couple seconds later, Gordon just, I don't know, he just fell down. So that was awesome to see. Martin Day Dos Santos fight doesn't go to decision. That was like plus 150, which I could not believe that line. Martin Day shot for a takedown, and as soon as that happened, I knew the fight was over. Dos Santos was able to get the submission. That was able to hit. Had Miguel Baeza in a parlay with Curtis Blades, and as we know, Curtis Blades' fight was off. And then finally, Anthony Smith won inside the distance plus 155, and that's why it was really important to watch the post weigh-in show. Because the fight got changed to, not that it matters, but the fight got changed from 3 rounds to 5 rounds, and that actually made me change my pick to Anthony Smith, and I actually would bet him because I did think that someone was getting finished in that fight. I didn't think it would be that early, but once I heard in an interview that Devin Clark was going to knock out Anthony Smith in the first round, I knew I definitely made the right choice of going with Anthony Smith there. So plus 3.86 units on the night on that card. Like, I am very happy about that because that card was a dumpster fire and was able to even hit a Hail Mary parlay as well. So really can't ask for a better card there. And coming into this card, really want to finish this year strong. It's been a fantastic year so far. Would love to finish December as good as well. Have one bet for this card. I'll probably talk about it in this video. But yeah, good card last week, although it was an absolute dumpster fire. But I don't know how I did it, but it was done. So good night last week. Hopefully bring it into this week here. And yeah, looking forward to this card as a whole. Like I said, I have one bet. Probably not going to have much action for this card, honestly, because this card's tough as well. It really is. Not many great spots on this card, but should be a good one here. Just want to remind you guys that it is the first of the month, and I'll never ask anybody to donate, nothing like that. If you want to donate, go for it, but the best way to donate is signing up on Patreon, and that's where I have all my extra content. I put my bets out so we can beat lines. We beat one of the lines already that we'll talk about for one of the fighters here. I have my model with all the stats for every fighter that I do. I put my articles out. I do extra video content, breaking down the fights, breaking down my bets. So if you do want to sign up, very cheap prices on there. It's like $10 a month, $2.50 to get the betting package, which is the most popular on there. So go check that out. It really helps a lot. The link is in the description. It really does allow me to do this full time, put 100% of my effort into it. So thank you guys so much for that. I have over 200 patrons, so hopefully continue to grow that. We also have a Discord community as well where we talk fights. I throw out stuff throughout the week, and yeah, we've been killing it this year. So thank you guys so much for that. And we're about to get into the video here. Before we get started, though, if you guys can leave a like, subscribe if you have not yet, would appreciate that a ton. And just want to give you a heads up that I am still very sick, as most of you know. I was, tested positive for COVID, so still recovering from that. Hopefully everything will be good by Friday, but still on the last couple days of that, I hope. So if that's why I sound a little sick, that's a little bit why. But yeah, let's get into this card here. So the first fight of the night, and yeah, this fight was canceled due to, I want to say, some weight cutting issues for Smolka. I know he missed weight. I think he got sick or something. Something happened, but just not really a good look for Louis Smolka here. But Smolka, he is 29 years old. He is 5'9" with a 68.5-inch reach. He is 16-7 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Jose Quinones, he is 30 years old, 5'8", 69-inch reach, 8-4 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So interestingly, there you go, enough. I had a bet on Louis Smolka the last time this fight was scheduled, and got him at minus 130. He's now sitting at minus 135. Of course, that bet was canceled, and I'm not gonna bet it again. I mean, just the fact that he missed weight, it shows me like where's his head at right now. The dude was out playing video games and stuff. Like, it's really hard to trust this guy. It really is. So I'm not gonna rebet this. It's definitely going to be a pass at this point. Minus 135. And I do think he wins, but obviously it is a race for concern when he is going out there missing weight, when the fight's getting canceled because he had weight cutting issues, he's sick, and coming back, a couple weeks later, cutting weight all over again. So I do want to see this fight. I do want to see these guys weigh in, and that's why the Friday show is going to be very important here, because maybe Smolka looks fantastic, maybe he looks good, but you can't really have faith in Smolka, even without the weight cut issues. Like, this dude's hard to trust in general, but I do like him here. I mean, he's going to throw a lot of volume, lands about 4.25 significant strikes per minute, absorbs only 3.62, 52% striking defense, though. Quinones, pretty low output, averages 3.41 significant strikes per minute, 46% accuracy, absorbs only 2.58 with a 66% striking defense. So, yeah, Smolka is very, very hittable. Now, something I don't like about him there, as for the takedowns go, like, Smolka has a 30% takedown defense. So I think if Quinones wants to go out here and get takedowns, I think he can get them. But if he does, he's going to be playing with fire. And as you can see in the picture there, Quinones has jiu-jitsu tattooed on his chest, which I find funny because the dude has one submission on his record. He's been submitted himself by, I think, Nathaniel Wood there. But yeah, I'm going with Smolka still. Don't have enough confidence to bet it. I think he's the better fighter. I don't think Quinones is that great. I really don't. He's going to have to prove me wrong here. Quinones with the 40% finish rate, 30% by knockout, 10% by submission. Smolka's someone that's going to go out there and he's a kill or be killed fighter. I don't think Quinones can go out there and finish him. I really don't. So Quinones is definitely a killer. 88% finish rate, finishing half of his 44% wins by knockout, 44% wins by submission. I think he's dangerous anywhere the fight goes. His striking did look improved against Casey Kenny for as long as that fight was, but Kenny was able to finish him. And yeah, I'm going to go with Smolka here. I'm going to go with Smolka inside the distance. I'm not going to bet it. Like I said, I had a bet earlier a couple weeks ago, but him missing weight and him pulling out of the fight, it's just really not a good look. So I'm going to pick Smolka, but just can't trust him at that price tag. But yeah, I see a lot of love for Quinones, and I can understand maybe it's a fade on Smolka, but I just don't see it. Our next fight here, yeah, this is kind of a tough fight to call for me. Gabriel Benitez versus Justin James. Benitez, he is 32 years old, 5'8", 71-inch reach, going to have about a 3.5-inch reach advantage. 21-8 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Justin James, 31 years old, 5'7", 67.5-inch reach, 16-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So we all remember James went in there against Frank Camacho, got that big upset. I mean, ruined a lot of parlays, not mine, but ruined a lot of parlays that week against Frank Camacho there, which, that's something James has been doing, especially late. I don't think James has been to decision since like 2017. Honestly, I think the under is a pretty good look in this fight, and I'll talk about why. But the line is really interesting here, and it's kind of interesting like how it opened. Like, Gabriel Benitez opened up as an underdog. Believe it or not, he's now minus 220. So, I mean, big line flip. I can't disagree with it too much. James is plus 180, opened up a slight favorite at minus 155. So, yeah, big line swing here. And, I mean, you got to make Benitez the favorite here. I do think he's the better overall the fighter. I think he has really, really good leg kicks. His striking is really good. And, James to me is either he's going to get the first round finish or he's going to bust. We saw in his last fight look fantastic in the first round. But I do want to say that fight was at 145 and this fight's going to be at 155. So I do think that really took a toll on his body. Like, the dude's huge. The dude's fought at like 170 before. So, I do think that took a toll. I do think we'll see some better cardio from James here. It's just the way he fights. Like, yeah, he's going to get tired. He throws everything into every shot he throws. I heard an interview with him. He said someone's getting knocked out in this fight, whether it is him or whether it is Gabriel Benitez getting knocked out, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, James is going to come in there hot in the first round. If Benitez is able to survive the early storm, take it into the second round, I think he's going to win. Even I think Benitez can get a first round finish. I think someone's getting finished here. But it's really hard to pick James. It kind of feels like the Spike Carlisle pick last week, which, yeah, I did pick Spike Carlisle. Looking back at it, can't believe it. Spike Carlisle's cardio is awful. Like, I really underestimated how bad his cardio is. I think James is going to have a little bit better cardio than that, but it's kind of the same thing. I mean, if James does not get that first round finish, Benitez is going to take over. I think in general, Benitez is the better fighter. So the pick's going to be Benitez. I'm going to say second round. It's so tough to finish James. I'm going to say second round knockout. I'm going to say Benitez is going to be the first one to knock out James here. James has never been knocked out, but I'm going to take Benitez to win via second round knockout. Would I be surprised at all if James went out there and knocked out Benitez in the first round? No, I would not, because Benitez has been finished twice. And I did notice in the Sadiq Yusuf fight, Yusuf was able to back up Benitez a ton in that fight. If James is able to implement that game plan and back up Benitez, I do think he'd have some success. But it's really hard to pick just like a one round and bust guy, which I do think James kind of goes into that category there. So the picks Benitez. Definitely want to bet minus 220. I would not bet that minus 220. If anything, look at the under 2.5 rounds. I think that's a good bet because James, if he wins, it's going to be in the first round. If Benitez wins, I think he can win in round 1, 2. And I don't see how this fight's going to go to decision or even into the third round. I'd kind of be surprised at that point. So the pick is going to be Gabriel Benitez by second round knockout there. All right, this is fun fight here. Ilia Topuria, the dude cashed him as an underdog against Yusuf Zalal, and I think I got him like plus 150, so really good line there. Not going to get another good line on him there in this fight against Damon Jackson, who actually is not that bad, and we'll talk about it here, but Topuria, he's very, very young. The dude's only 23 years old, 5'7", 69-inch reach, a little bit smaller, 9-0, obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Damon Jackson, 32 years old, more of a experienced guy. 5'11", going to have a 4-inch reach advantage, 73-inch reach, going to have a 4-inch reach and height advantage there. So Damon Jackson, 18-3-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He pulled that the big upset last time against Rasad Bektic, and he was a really big underdog in that fight, and he was getting dominated for most of that fight as well. Let's see, Damon Jackson against Bektic, he was plus 235, so not as big as I thought, but still pretty big. He closed at plus 250 there. So yeah, he was pretty big underdog there. And in this fight, let's see here, Topuria is going to be minus 230, and Damon Jackson is going to be plus 190. And it's understandable. I mean, Topuria in his last fight looked really good. He was able to get multiple takedowns on Zalal, and I was actually concerned about Topuria's gas tank, but it looked like Zalal was the one that was really gassing out until the third round, and then Topuria got really, really dead tired. So is the gas tank a concern for Topuria? A little bit. He's only been to decision 1 time. But let me remind you, he did take the fight with Zalal on short notice. So I do think his gas tank's going to be better. The dude's a beast, and no wonder he got tired. I mean, he went for 1 million takedowns, 1 million submission attempts on Zalal, almost submitted him a ton of times there. So this fight's a little tricky because this fight's going to be playing out on the mat for a good majority of time. I think Topuria can get takedowns here on Jackson, no problem. I think Topuria is going to be on top a lot of time for this fight. But Jackson's he has a lot of experience. 32 years old, a ton of fights on his record, and he's actually pretty solid. I think his striking's solid. I think his ground game is extremely solid. And if anything, I mean, maybe look at the under 2.5 is something you look at. It's hard for me to really put minus 230 on Topuria. As a really young guy, still a little unproven. I think he's a beast. I really do think he is, but that price could be a little bit too wide here against Jackson, who he's dangerous himself. Jackson has finished 95% of his wins, and he's never lost by decision. So these dudes, he's either getting finished or getting the finish himself. That's why I kind of like the under 2.5 there, and I'm going to pick Topuria here to win. I'm going to say he gets, majority of the top control takedowns. I would not be surprised if he even got a submission. Jackson has been submitted before, but it wasn't, it was a while ago. But Jackson has been submitted once. He's been knocked out twice. I remember watching the one fight, he got knocked out in the first 15 seconds of a fight with a flying knee. It was disgusting there. But yeah, both guys are very dangerous here. I'm going to slightly lean with Topuria. Don't know if I'd play that line at minus 220 or whatever it is. But I'm going to say he gets it done by, I'm going to say submission. I'm going to say he submits Jackson. He got Zalal in so much bad spots. Was not able to finish there. And Bektic got a Jackson in some bad spots as well. I think that Topuria can definitely get him out of there. But would I be surprised if Jackson maybe weathered an early storm and Topuria did slow down and maybe Jackson got a late finish? No, I would not be surprised. But I'm going to go with Topuria here. I do think he's the better fighter. I think that, each and every fight we're going to see so much improvement with this guy. Only 23 years old. I think he has a huge ceiling. His striking's okay. His striking's improving, but his wrestling's fantastic. His ground game's fantastic. As long as he can stay out of trouble, I'm going to say he gets a decision or submits Jackson here. So I'm going to take Topuria to win inside the distance. Kind of the same thing here. Another fight that's going to be played on the ground a lot. And this is a tough fight to call. Jimmy Flick, 30 years old, 5'6", 70.5-inch reach, 15-5, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Cody Durden is 29 years old, 5'7", 67-inch reach, 11-2 and 3-1 in his last 5 fights. So Durden is going to be the most popular underdog play of the week, and yeah, I see a lot of love for him. And the line is not really closing as much as you'd think with all the love coming in on Durden, because yeah, there's a lot of people on him. Flick opened up minus 215, now minus 165. So the line has came down a decent amount. Durden opened up plus 170, and he's now plus 145. Yeah, I guess you could say the line is a little bit wide here still, but man, I was getting ready to go in here and bet on Durden as an underdog. I really was, but after getting into the tape, I just could not do that. I mean, Flick is someone who, watching tape on him, the dude's striking is very suspect. His striking defense is extremely suspect. His chin is extremely suspect. Flick has been knocked out 4 times. But is Durden the guy to expose that striking game? Is he one to expose Flick's chin? And I'm not so sure of that. Watching tape on Durden, like in most of his fights, pretty much every one of them, he takes the fight to the mat. He goes out there and gets takedowns. There's not much footage of him really striking with opponents. He gets a really good wrestler. He really is. But I just see this fight touching the mat, and at that point, you gotta favor Flick. I mean, Flick has some really good takedowns himself. I do think he can get takedowns in this fight. If he can end up on top, Durden could be in a world of trouble. And you just want to think that Durden can keep this on the feet and outpoint Flick, but that's just not something I've seen him do all that much. And I don't think Flick's going to really allow that to happen. I think, if anything, Flick can go out there and get takedowns. Watching tape on Durden, have seen him taken down a decent amount of times. I saw him get taken down like 5 times in one round before. So just due to the fact that this fight is like 90% sure this is going to hit the mat, I'd be like shocked if it didn't. I got a favor Flick here, so I'm kind of sitting back and waiting to see if that line closes up. I'm not gonna bet Flick at like minus 270, minus 265. Nothing. I think that's crazy. I think the line should be closer. I do think people are getting value on Durden, but if I can get Flick at like minus 120, minus 130, which maybe it happens, because I do see a lot of love for Durden, but overall, I see this fight hitting the mat. I think Flick's better on the mat. Not to say Durden's not great on the mat himself, but I do think Flick is on a different level. Like, the dude is legit on the mat. So give me Flick. I'm going to say by submission. I'm going to say he goes out there and submits Durden. And let's see, Durden has been submitted once. Flick has been knocked out 4 times. I see this fight like ending inside the distance regardless. But I'm going to say Flick submits him there. Flick has an 87% submission rate. Like, the dude is legit on the mat. So probably gonna be an unpopular pick there. A lot of people are on Durden. I'm gonna go the other way. Just seeing Durden get taken down like just took all the confidence away, because I do think Flick has some solid wrestling. I do think Flick can take him down himself. So give me Flick by submission there. I think the small cage helps out Flick a lot as well. So I do think this fight hits the ground, and I do think it favors Flick. So give me Flick there by submission. All right, this fight I'm not really, looking forward to talking about, and it is Matt Wyman versus Jordan Leavitt. And Leavitt is 25 years old, 5'7", has a 71-inch reach, 7-0, obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Matt Wyman, 37 years old, 5'10", 67-inch reach, 16-9, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Getting into the line, and when I saw the line, I almost puked. And Leavitt is minus 400, and Matt Wyman is plus 325. I think that's so off. I really do. I think it is so off. Don't parlay Jordan Leavitt here. It's worse than going out there and parlaying Kai Kamaka at minus 300. And I'll tell you why. Like, watching tape, like, if you have not watched tape on Leavitt, if you think he's going to go out there and just, destroy Matt Wyman because he's Matt Wyman, then yeah, maybe he could, but you got to go watch the tape on Leavitt. And I'm not impressed at all. I mean, the dude's striking is non-existent. I actually, believe it or not, I'd probably favor the striking at this point with Wyman, as crazy as that sounds. As crazy as it sounds, I'd probably give the slight advantage to Wyman in the striking. Leavitt's takedowns, his wrestling's not great, but I will give him that he's really relentless with his takedowns. I do think that's important in that fight, and this fight's going to be on the mat. We'll talk about Matt Wyman. I mean, Matt Wyman, it took, like a 3 or 4 year layoff, a huge layoff. Came back. He's lost 2 in a row at this point. Lost to Luis Pena. Just has looked awful. He's looked awful in his last couple fights. His striking looks bad. His stance looks bad. I mean, the dude looks bad. The dude's getting taken down. The dude's getting controlled. The dude's losing every single round, and it's not even close. So I get it. I get that this is a fade on Matt Wyman. But, Leavitt's going to play Matt Wyman's game here. I mean, Matt Wyman is a black belt in BJJ. Matt Wyman has never been submitted. I think Leavitt's like a purple belt, but I'm going to pick Leavitt here. I'm going to pick Leavitt just because he's the much younger fighter. I think he has, obviously, the higher ceiling. Wyman's been in the game for a long time. I do think this should be his last fight. It really should be. And if Leavitt was fighting anybody else, I'd be picking it against him here. And the fact that it's minus 400, it's pretty crazy. Don't lay the minus 400. Really don't do that because Matt Wyman is somewhat okay on the mat at this point. I mean, the dude's a black belt. Yes, he is extremely washed up at this point, but the fight's going to be on the mat primarily. I've seen Leavitt reversed before. I've seen Leavitt taken down himself. Maybe Wyman's able to get on top. I don't know. But more than likely, Leavitt's going to come in here. He's going to get takedowns. Matt Wyman gives it the takedown. He gives it the takedown. He lets people take him down. So pretty clear there. I don't necessarily see Leavitt submitting him. Matt Wyman is very tough to submit. He does all the right things. Was able to survive against Joe Selecki, who is a very, very good grappler. I'm going to say Leavitt wins by decision. I'm going to say it's going to look a lot closer than the line indicates, but how can you pick Wyman at this point? But still, hopefully Leavitt makes it look easy here so I can fade him in the future. But yeah, maybe he can improve his striking in the next couple fights. The dude's still very young. I think he has some upside. His ground game is legit, but minus 400 is just crazy. It really is. But give me Leavitt to win. I'm going to say by decision, and definitely not betting this fight either way. All right. Man. The people's main event. The people's main event here, Jean Villante versus Jake Collier. And Villante, 35 years old, 6'3", 76-inch reach, 17-12 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Jake Collier, 32 years old, 6'3", 78.5-inch reach, 11-5 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. Jean Villante minus 200 and opened up minus 240. Collier plus 170. And yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with those odds. This should probably be a straight pick'em, and you should probably not bet on this fight. Just a really ugly fight. I mean, kind of like the Parisian and Parker Porter fight last week. I mean, nobody should have bet on that fight either way. It was kind of an ugly fight, sloppy fight. This is going to be 10 times sloppier than that one. This is going to be an ugly fight, and I'm struggling to pick a winner. I want to see the weigh-ins. I think the weigh-ins are going to really dictate who I pick in this fight. So my pick might change after weigh-ins. I want to see which guy had some motivation. Both guys got embarrassed their last fight. Which guy had motivation, went back, trained a little bit, because it looked like both guys did not train whatsoever. I mean, I'm sure they did, but it looked like both guys did not train for their fight last time. Which guy kind of went back to the drawing board, looks a little bit more in shape. I mean, Jake Collier is someone who fought 170 before. The dude weighed in at 264 his last fight. Went in there against Tom Aspinall, got knocked out in less than a minute. Jean Villante, I mean, at least he had a good showing for a decent amount of that Green fight up until he knocked Green down, tried to finish him, couldn't finish him. The dude just tired out so bad, got submitted while he was on top by basically Maurice Green just holding on to him. I mean, he was so tired that he tapped. So yeah, if you bet on this fight, I wish you the best of luck. My best advice would be to not bet on this fight. Don't look at any props. Just stay away. But wait for the weigh-in. So that's why the show Friday, as always, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be very important to watch that show because the weigh-ins can really dictate who I pick here. I mean, if Collier looks a little bit better, maybe I'll swing to the Collier side. If Villante looks good, maybe I'll swing more to the Villante side. But right now I'm going to go with Jean Villante just because he had a better showing. He showed something in the Green fight, and that's more than I can say about Jake Collier. Collier got hit one time, just the dude fell down. And Tom Aspinall's a good fighter. I know Green's not the best fighter in the world, but at least Villante showed a little something. And as far as the record and all that goes, Villante does have the better wins on his record as well. So I'll take Villante hesitantly. I'm going to say he wins by, I'm going to say first round knockout, but would not bet this fight in a million years, honestly. It's really a fight you do not want to lay your money on. And next, getting into the next fight here, we have Evloev versus Nate Landwehr. Pretty good fight, and when I did see the line, I was kind of surprised at where it was at. And Evloev is, man, he's like minus 630 now. Open up minus 375. I mean, I kind of say like the minus 375 seems more right, but people are throwing into the parlays and everything. I see minus 750. I see minus 714, minus 650. I mean, I think that's, taking it a little bit too out of control there. Nate Landwehr plus 465. And, as for the fight goes, Evloev, 26 years old, 5'7", 72.5-inch reach. He's 13-0, undefeated. Nate Landwehr, 32 years old, 5'9", 70.5-inch reach, 14-3, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Landwehr's last win was against Darren Elkins in a fight that a lot of people thought he lost. He did get outlanded, I believe, by Elkins by a couple significant strikes. He got taken down, I believe, once or twice by Elkins as well. And it was a really close fight, but going to a close fight with Darren Elkins at this point, really how impressive is that? I believe the fight before that got knocked out by Herbert Burns. I think that was like one of Herbert Burns' first knockouts. With a nice knee, very nice knee, knocked him out cold. And I'm going to go with Evloev here. I really hate the line. I mean, minus 630 at this point. Definitely going to stay away from it there. Not even worth parlaying. I wouldn't think so, because, Nate Landwehr is a dangerous guy. I mean, finishing 57% of his wins by knockout. The dude's been knocked out once. He's been submitted once as well. Evloev, I mean, I like the guy a lot. He's just not much of a finisher. No finishes, I don't believe, in the UFC. 54% finish rate. 23% by knockout, 31% by submission. Maybe he can catch a submission here, but haven't really seen it at this level in the UFC so far. I think Evloev's just going to, grind out Landwehr. Evloev's striking looked a lot better against Mike Grundy. Then again, Mike Grundy was so tired in that fight, was not able to throw much. But I just say he's going to take down Landwehr a decent amount of times, control him for a lot of the fight, not really let Landwehr get anything off. If they stand and bang for long periods of time, yeah, he could be playing with fire there with Landwehr. But, outside of Landwehr, maybe landing something, I think Evloev should win a clear 30-27 decision here. If anything, maybe Evloev by decision is something you can look at. Other than that, I really don't want nothing to do with that minus 630. So picks Evloev. I think he's has some decent upside. Undefeated fighter. I don't think that undefeated streak is gone here. I think it continues. I think he goes to 14-0. So give me Evloev to win by decision. Should be a fun fight, actually. I do think it'll play out a little bit closer than the line indicates, but Evloev for the win there. All right, really excited for this fight. Roman Dolidze versus John Elon. And Dolidze, 32 years old, 6'2", 76-inch reach, 7-0. Obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. John Elon, 27 years old, 6'3", 75-inch reach, 13-5, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So very interesting here. Elon fought Mike Rodriguez in his last fight. Big upset. He was a pretty big underdog in that fight. I'll tell you the line right here. He opened up plus 265 against Rodriguez, closed around plus 275. Mike Rodriguez was minus 480 in that fight. And Elon was able to pull off the upset. A couple things we got to talk about. I hope people don't look too much into that performance for a couple of reasons. Mike Rodriguez has literally like a 50% takedown defense. The dude's ground game is just not there. And Elon, who is a black belt, was able to take him down, grind on him. It was still a really close fight, but still, he was a big underdog. And he did pop for, I believe, steroids or some type of steroid after that fight, and that's why it was turned to a no contest after that. So, the dude popped for something. So I'm curious to see what he looks like coming off of that into this fight against Dolidze, who has popped for something as well. But in his last fight against Khadis Ibragimov, I know you can't look too much into that, but he looked good. The dude's very patient. The dude's very powerful. The dude's a madman. Watching tape on him was very exciting. This guy goes out there and he yells and screams in his opponent's face, and it's very entertaining. So I like the dude. He's a 100% finish rate here. And I went to his Instagram, and I like to check the fighters' Instagrams. It's something I do every week. And I see world champion in jiu-jitsu, world grappling champion. which just made me so happy. I think the dude's a black belt, and we don't see on tape much of his grappling. Earlier in his career, he did have a couple heel hooks, a couple submissions, but we don't see much of his grappling, much of people trying to take him down. And now I know why people do not try to take him down. The dude's like a world champion grappler, which is awesome to hear. Dolidze has finished 57% of his wins by knockout, 43% by submission. I think this line's off. I really do. Dolidze opened up minus 170. He's now minus 190. And Elon opened up plus 140. He's now plus 165. So a lot of money is coming in on Dolidze, and for a really good reason. I think this line, honestly, should be wider. The only fault I can put on to Dolidze is he's low volume at times, but he just picks his shots really well. And when he hits hard, he hits really hard. And Elon could always, go to that wrestling and grappling game of his, which is not bad. But even then, like Dolidze, like his ground game looks legit from what I've seen. And like I mentioned, like world champion in grappling, I like the sound of that. And on the feet, like I do think Dolidze's the better fighter. I think Dolidze's the better fighter pretty much everywhere. And I'm gonna take Dolidze to win. I'm gonna take him to win by first round knockout. The dude's an absolute madman. I think the dude has some serious power when he decides to use it. And like I said, I think the line's off. I mean, John Elon was a big underdog against Mike Rodriguez, who I don't think is that great myself, but when you're going out there and he lost to Vinicius Moreira, he got submitted by him in 2018 on the Contender Series. I remember watching that fight. It's not a good look. I mean, Dolidze would destroy Vinicius Moreira in 30 seconds. He really would. So, so give me Dolidze there, and I'll throw this out to you guys. I did bet Dolidze, but I bet him at minus 175. He's now minus 190. I still think there's value. I'd probably bet him all the way up to like minus 200, minus 210, minus 220. I think he's parlayable, but I wouldn't mess around with any parlays on this card, but I do think he's parlayable. Maybe if you want to parlay something on to the next card, there's some decent parlay pieces. On this card, really not many parlay pieces. Evloev, if you want to lay that, but no parlays for me this card. I do like Dolidze. Played him minus 175 straight. I love that play. It's my only play so far, so hopefully he gets it done. And picking Dolidze to win by first round knockout. All right, this fight is interesting here. Italia Santos versus Montana De La Rosa. And Santos is 27 years old, 5'6", 68-inch reach, 16-1, 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Montana De La Rosa, she is 25 years old, 5'7", 68-inch reach, 11-6, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. So De La Rosa's striking looked pretty improved in the last fight. I will give her that. And Santos, I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, she had a fight with Mara Morella-Borello in her UFC debut, and she looked not good. She did not look great at all. She was barely throwing anything in that fight. She lost to Mara Morella-Borello, who is, in my opinion, like one of the worst women's fighters in the UFC. And she got a lot of steam in her last fight going against Molly McCann. Well, Molly McCann got a lot of steam going against her because Santos actually opened up. Let's see here. It says Molly McCann opened up minus 300. That can't be right. But I think Santos opened up a favorite against Molly McCann, I believe. And after that, like Molly McCann opened, like got so much steam on her. She became a 2-1 favorite in that fight. And everybody was on Molly McCann, including me, because of how bad she looked in the Mara Morella-Borello fight. Like, she looked awful. And in that Molly McCann fight, her next fight, she looked like a completely different fighter. She looked so much improved. And I guess she had an interview saying that she was nervous in her UFC debut. And I mean, she looked like it was insane. She looked so much stronger. Her striking looked so much better. She looked like a completely different fighter. And if she looks like she did in the Molly McCann fight, she's going to beat Montana De La Rosa pretty handedly here. I mean, she was able to stuff Molly McCann's takedown. She was able to get takedowns of her own, which surprised me. And yeah, she looks like that against Molly McCann. She looks like that against Montana De La Rosa here, like she did against Molly McCann. She should probably have a field day. I know De La Rosa's striking looked improved her last fight, but Santos, she should honestly destroy her. But the only thing I'm concerned about is if this does hit the mat. I think De La Rosa's one path to victory. But even then, like, Santos' takedown defense looked good. It looked improved. But I guess you do got to kind of worry about, like, her nerves. Like that's a concern. I mean, she went in there and said she was very nervous, and she did not throw anything. She had, like, a mirror match with Marella Barella. But, yeah, completely different fighter. If she keeps momentum into this fight, she's going to win. And I think that's what's going to happen here, but I just wouldn't bet on it. I think she's a pretty sizable favorite here. Minus 210 for Santos, plus 175 for De La Rosa. De La Rosa coming in on short notice. Clear Santos here for me. Maybe look at a prop or something, but minus 210 women's MMA. Could play out close. But, Santos looks to be the real deal. She really does. But not something I'd lay my money on personally. 16-1. One loss to Barella. But, yeah, she looks solid. So give me Santos to win by decision. All right, wrong fight here. And we're going to go to OSP versus Jamal Hill for the co-main event. And, very intrigued by this fight. Jamal Hill, very young, 29 years old, kind of young. 6'4", 79-inch reach, 8-0. Obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. OSP is 37 years old, 6'3", 80-inch reach, 25-14, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. And, this fight is probably the hardest to call. For me personally, I see a lot of people very confident in Jamal Hill. I'm not really on that side. Just watching tape on Hill, the dude's definitely improving each and every fight. I'll give him that. It's just the level of competition really concerns me. And I know he's still young. He's still improving a ton. He's still working his way up. But this is a big jump. I mean, his first 2 fights in the MMA, fought 0-0 guys. Daquan Townsend win on his record. UFC debut, fought Darko Stosic. And, Stosic was able to take him down like 6 times, not do anything with that takedown. But if OSP takes down Hill here, he's going to be in a world of trouble. He really is. So I think the takedown defense is extremely questionable for Hill. Klitz and Abreu, the next fight. Abreu just went out there and struck with him. Abreu didn't even try to take him down. And he was able to knock out Klitz and Abreu. So, you're going from Darko Stosic, guys like Daquan Townsend, guys like Klitz and Abreu, to Ovince St. Preux. And that's a really big step up in competition, like a huge step up in competition. So it kind of a pause for concern there. OSP, he's losing to guys like Nikita Krylov, Dominic Reyes, Ilir Latifi, Volkan Oezdemir, Jimmy Manawa, John Jones, Glover Teixeira. So kind of like the best of the best. Lost to Ben Rothwell at heavyweight, which don't want to put too much stock into that. But this fight's tough. Watching tape on OSP, I was looking to see, like, does this guy go out there and get... Does he wrestle enough? And he really does not wrestle as much as I think he should. I was kind of expecting him to get takedowns or try to get takedowns in the Alonzo Menafield fight. He really didn't need to. His striking looked pretty solid in that fight, but Alonzo Menafield was not throwing anything. I think Hill's definitely going to be throwing a ton more than Alonzo Menafield, and that's what I do like about Hill is he throws a lot of output. But like I said, this is a big step in competition. I think that if OSP is smart, and he's smart. He's a veteran. Go out here and try to get Hill down. I think he can. And if he does, OSP is very dangerous on the mat. Has finished 36% of his wins by submission. Hill's a decent finisher, finishing half of his wins by knockout, 50% finish rate. OSP has been knocked out twice. And, OSP, he gets hurt in a ton of fights. He really does. Can't ignore that. But he's only been knocked out twice in 39 fights. So, probably going to get a lot of hate for this pick. Yeah, I'm gonna go with OSP. I still think Hill is unproven to me. If he beats OSP, that's a big win in his career. The dude's undefeated. Everybody needs that first loss sometime. I think it's gonna come here. OSP's striking is not that bad. It's really not. Very low volume, but as we saw his last fight, he still packs that power. And I think if he does get a takedown here, I think Hill's gonna be in a world of trouble. So I'm gonna say OSP wins here by submission. I think Hill's takedown defense is suspect. I think OSP takes him down. I think he's going to submit him. So give me OSP by submission. Like I said, it's kind of a contrarian pick here. I see a lot of people very high on Hill. And I don't know, man. Picks up in competition minus 160. Looks like a little bit of money's coming in on OSP. Hill opened up minus 195. OSP plus 140. Yeah, I'm going to take the dog here with OSP. Just Hill's got to prove it to me. I mean, going from Darkus Dosage to Klitzen Abreu to OSP, it's a big jump up. And I know OSP's a little bit on his way out, but I'm going to say OSP gets it done by submission here. But really looking forward to that fight. All right, and then the main event here. And yeah, good main event. Really good main event. Really well, really good matchup here. Both guys match up really well. And Marvin Vettori, he is 27 years old, young guy, 6 foot, 74-inch reach, 15-3-1, 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. Jack Hermansson is 32 years old, 6'1", 77.5-inch reach. He's going to have a 1-inch height advantage, a 3.5-inch reach advantage, which, yeah, I think that's a little important there. 21-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So, yeah, Hermansson looked really good in his last fight for as long as it lasted. A lot of people were on the Kelvin Gastelum side. Luckily, I was not one of those people. He went out there and submitted Gastelum in, like, the first minute of that fight with I think it was a heel hook. And Vettori's been looking good. I went out there and, he'd submit him or he finished him by strikes? I think submitted. Yeah, he submitted Carl Roberson in the first round, his last fight. Before that, beat Andrew Sanchez by decision. Remember, he lost to Israel Adesanya by a split decision. So he's kind of well known for that. But watching tape on Vettori, I look to see, how good is this guy's takedown defense? How good is he at, stuffing the takedowns? If he does get taken down, how good is he at getting back up? And kind of go back to the Antonio Carlos Jr. fight in 2016 is where he got taken down like 4 or 5 times. He does all the right things. His takedown defense looks really solid. His get-up game's really good. Wasn't able to let Carlos Jr. have, too much success on the mat. But he was taken down like 4 or 5 times nonetheless. Other than that, fought Andrew Sanchez last year, 2019. Sanchez did not really shoot for a takedown in that fight. I don't remember at least. If he did, it was probably a really poor attempt, but mostly a striking fight in that fight there. So it's such a tough fight to call. And I'll be honest, I wanted to go out there and bet Marvin Vettori. First look, before I dug into it, I wanted to bet Marvin Vettori, and I'm kind of surprised here at the line. Marvin Vettori is minus 140. Opened up plus 125, so people are betting him to a big favorite here. I don't know if I really understand that. I mean, Jack Hermansson plus 120, opened up minus 155. I think Hermansson should be the favorite here. I really do. I think this should be, I think Hermansson should be a slight favorite, just due to the fact of, who he's been facing as of late. I know, Vettori fought Israel Adesanya on all that, but yeah, Hermansson has been facing some really good guys. Jared Cannonier, I know he lost to him, Kelvin Gastelum, Ronaldo Souza, David Branch, Mearshart, Thiago Santos, guys like that, And I think that the 5 rounds really favors Hermansson. He was able to go and fight, I believe it was Souza. I believe he came in there on short notice as well. Went 5 rounds in that fight, looked really good. How'd he look in the 4th and 5th round? He looked good. He looked fresh. So that cardio is not a concern for me. But on the flip side, the Vettori cardio is a big concern for me. This is someone who slows down in the 3rd round. How's he going to look in the 4th and 5th round? And he's been training for a 3-round fight. He hasn't been training for a 5-round fight. So how is Vettori's cardio going to look if he does not get that finish of Hermansson early? And I don't think he does. I mean, Hermansson is a little bit on the chinny side. He really is. Hermansson has been knocked out twice in 26 fights by guys like Jared Cannonier. But is Vettori really someone that could knock him out? I mean, Thiago Santos is the other guy that knocked him out. So Jared Cannonier and Thiago Santos both have a lot more power than Vettori. I'm not saying Vettori doesn't have power, but Vettori has only finished 13% of his wins by knockout. 13%, not really a knockout guy. If he does not knock out Hermansson, I think he can beat him on the feet for sure. I think he's the better striker. I think he has more volume. But if Hermansson gets Vettori down, Vettori's going to be in a world of trouble. Like, Hermansson is world-class on the mat. Very good ground and pound, very good. His wrestling's pretty good. Very good ground game. And what I'm concerned about is Hermansson maybe grinding him out, taking him down, getting Vettori tired. And I'm concerned about what Vettori's going to look in that 4th and 5th round. I'm really concerned about that. So I'm actually going to, believe it or not, take the dog here and Jack Hermansson. I can't believe I'm saying he's a dog here. That kind of surprises me, but I'm going to take the dog and Jack Hermansson. I thought first look I'd be going with Vettori here, no problem. But I just think the extra 2 rounds, it's really sketchy. The line is sketchy. Sure, if Vettori keeps us on the feet for 25 minutes, yeah, he can win a decision. Could he knock out Hermansson? Maybe. But I just see Hermansson taking him down, landing some ground and pound, grinding him out, extending this fight. And at that point, like, Vettori has some serious, I don't know, I don't think his cardio is going to hold up into that 4th round and 5th round. If it doesn't hold up into that 3rd round in a lot of fights, I don't see how it's going to last up until the end of the fight. And like I said, I saw that Hermansson go to the 4th and 5th round and look completely fine. So, yeah, give me Hermansson here. See a lot of love for Vettori, and you can definitely see it with the betting line. And maybe people keep betting him up to like minus 150, minus 160, which again is crazy. It really is. I'm surprised that the line is where it's at right now, but people like Vettori, and I don't know, people are hating on Hermansson as of late. Like, a lot of people are on Gastelum, like a ton of people are on Gastelum in the last fight, and look what happened then. Like, a lot of people were counting out Hermansson. Don't understand there, but I'm going to take Hermansson. I don't know if I'm going to bet it yet. If anything, I'm just going to wait, and if the line gets too crazy, yeah, I'll probably have to throw some money on Hermansson there. But as of now, I'm just going to sit back and wait, plan on having no action on this fight. I do think it's going to be close. But yeah, give me Jack Hermansson to win by, I'm going to say decision. I'm going to say he wins those last 2 rounds. I think the first 3 are going to be kind of close there. I'm going to say he wins by decision. Maybe he gets a late finish, but I'm going to go Jack Hermansson by decision. Again, probably another unpopular pick there, but just weird seeing Vettori as the favorite here. It really is. So that's about it, guys. I just want to quickly go through my picks. I'm going to go with Jack Hermansson, Oven St. Preux, Tyler Santos, Roman Dolidze, Movsar Evloev, Jean Villante. That pick might change depending on the weigh-ins. I don't know. Jordan Leavitt, Jimmy Flick, Aaliyah Topuria, Gabriel Benitez, and Luis Smolka. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for all the support. As always, a lot of people always ask me, how can you donate? How can I support you? The best way is to sign up on the Patreon, $10 a month for the betting package. We also have the DFS and betting package if you guys are into daily fantasy sports, but you get the model with all the stats of all the fighters. You get my betting breakdowns. Every time I post a bet, I'll post a video breakdown, just breaking down the bet there. You'll get some lines out. Was able to beat the Roman Dolidze line. Got it at minus 175. It's like now minus 220 on some books, minus 210 on some books. Get my article out. I put the Hail Mary parlay at the end of the article. My Hail Mary parlay was able to hit last week, hit like 4 or 5 since I've started the betting package. So lots of good stuff there. And of course, it does help me out. It allows me to do this full time. And yeah, kind of a long video. Sorry, guys, that I talked a little bit too much. I don't know. But good luck, guys. And had a really good week last week. Hopefully continue it into this week. And let's finish the year strong. Let's finish out 2020 strong. And good luck, guys.